Hi, I'm Ruth Catlow. This is my second time at CyberSalon, so I feel really especially comfortable and welcome, especially after such a great bunch of talks. So I apologise, I'm going to do a recap of who I am. If you've seen me do it before, I apologise, I'm not going to take too long about it. I'm an artist and I'm co-founder of Furtherfield. We're an arts organisation working in network technologies and social change. And we got started in the 90s, just as the web was getting going as a place that anyone could publish to and shape. And what made this important, what was important about this shift for us was that coming from the kind of Brit artsy, we understood the early days on the web as offering us the opportunity to really think about how we could shape our own context as artists by connecting with people and creating our own platforms and really kind of thinking about how you could connect people in different ways and change the relationship between the artist, the art object and the audience. Now we're running, so 17 years on, we're running a set of platforms for an international community of artists, techies, activists, thinkers and doers for review, critique, co-creation, and these run across a set of mainly FLOSS platforms. And we also have we're based in a North London park, in Finsbury Park, where we have two public spaces. So we have the Furtherfield Gallery for networked arts and the Furtherfield Commons, which is a community lab space for critical play, hands-on experiments in arts and technology. And for those of you that don't know, Finsbury Park is a kind of hyper-culturally diverse area of London. Our location 2 years ago into this very public space has told us a lot about what people can tolerate in terms of critical and experimental approaches to technologies, and also how much content, how much political content people will take in their art and still really enjoy it and keep coming back for more. So at the gallery we run a programme of 3 exhibitions a year, which generally run across the summer, and then an open programme across the winter months where people can propose things, and as long as they kind of fit within our ethos, we'll support that to happen, and that kind of opens up our audiences. We run public arts events and talks, and these we work very carefully to make sure that all of the things that we put on, that we're helping people to connect the things that are their experiences in their daily lives with the things that we're showing. So it's very important that people who come to the gallery feel that what they see in there is for them and it connects with the important things that are going on in their lives. So what I'm going to say about smart cities really will resonate, I think, with what's gone before. So before smart cities, smart people, everyone said it. If we're going to survive the mass mobilisation of global populations into our cities from rural areas, which is what's happening at the moment, and all the ecological and social upheavals that this is going to bring, that is already bringing, we're really going to need a more flexible, open and more connected public. Again, picking up on what Usman was saying, we need diverse cultures and we need to find new ways of creating common ground, to find a way to negotiate the individual and collective interests, really kind of for our common good. And one of the things that we have often kind of grappled with at Furtherfield as we're working kind of between artists and techies is the kind of difficulty of making things that are simple, efficient, that enable us to do things quickly, and doing things that are open, and accessible to a wider group of people. Questions of access are really complicated, And so we need to think, when we're thinking about how to make our cities smarter and our people smarter, we need to think how we live together, distribute resources, share and build places, and negotiate our values together. So in the language of the commons, shared resources are not considered to be held in common until those who share their benefits also share responsibility for their maintenance and sustainability. And this includes imagining, inventing, or appropriating systems for achieving their kind of ongoing sustainability. And this idea of having people involved in reimagining the processes whereby they can work together and they can continue to imagine together are kind of underpinning ideas to the two projects that I'm going to show you. So, and they're two projects kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum. Digital Zoo is an exhibition tour of shopping centres of digital artworks. It's selected from digital artworks that we've shown in our gallery space already. In the first year in our in the public park, we had 7,000 visitors into our gallery, and this really excited us because we knew that people who would not ordinarily imagine a museum to be for them were coming and getting exposed to often quite complex critical ideas that had been developed by artists who really kind of were interested in the social effects of technology. The Digital Zoo tour to 6 shopping centres in over a space of about 7 weeks, if you crunch it up, we will see a footfall and an engagement probably of about 30 to 35,000 people. And that's very interesting for us, and we're really looking at ways to how to kind of grow the engagement with stuff that we think is really worth people's attention. I'm going to talk about a couple of works. So the idea behind Digital Zoo, why we think it's important to get this work out to more people, is that we want people to understand how technologies are shaping our places, society, and in turn have a kind of sense that they might be able to shape these technologies themselves. And all the works in Digital Zoo provoke people to think about how the web's changing our relationship with each other. It's also about new forms of behaviour and tools available on the web, and the ways we're now being able to track and perform for each other. So it sets out this idea, Digital Zoo sets out this idea that we're all now zookeepers and caged animals. So we're being tracked. We have all these a whole range of tools in which to study each other, in which to in which to track people down, observe them, sense what they're doing, but also to and then treat this data in a whole set of ways. But also on the other hand, we're all choosing to live our lives in public a whole lot more. So we're kind of laying ourselves open to scrutiny. So this work is by Liz Sterry. This was a piece that we showed in our opening show in our public gallery as part of a show called Being Social. Liz Sterry lives in Essex. She followed an 18-year-old Canadian girl who she'd never met and didn't know, called Kay. She followed her blog first for 3 months, and then followed, kind of did a bit of very low-key detective work, tracked her down on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook, and just started downloading some of her photographs and seeing where she worked and who she hung out with and what her hobbies were and what her habits were, and kind of got a sense of what things were making her uneasy. Kay was a bit uneasy about her weight. And she kind of starts to build up this stalker wall. Well, I call it a stalker wall, she didn't call it that. And with some pseudoscience, and she's kind of really starting to pay attention. She's drawing a portrait of Kay. And what we see on this side of the screen is a replica of Kay's bedroom built in our gallery based on the photos that Liz had downloaded about Kay. Now this is a really powerful work for people to experience. So coming back, why do we think it's important for this work to be, for us to, why are we touring this? Shopping centres. When people come and stand in this work, they come in often with their families, so they'll be trailing around thinking, what is this? Art isn't really for me. And they come and they stand in the middle of this room, and they kind of thing, and the kids, the mum's really concerned that the room's really messy and that the kids are going to be picking up bad habits, or that there's an empty kind of lager and how old's the girl, and there's lots of kind of family issues. And then you start to see the penny dropping as parents start to understand that possibly their young teenage children are oversharing on the internet in a way that they hadn't really thought of. And so this artwork, as with all the artworks that we're showing in Digital Zoo, certainly becomes start of a really interesting conversation where people start to get a kind of physical and an emotional sense of the way our lives and our relationships are changing, both in relation to place and networks. We had 2 works within this show. Within the tour, there's 6 or 7 works. We've commissioned some new work, and I'm not going to talk about them all. 2 works that change depending on their location. It felt very important to us that people could see themselves reflected in the work that we showed them. This is Leeds Wall by Thompson and Craighead. It's a remaking of London Wall that they did first for the the London Museum, whatever the London Museum's called, and then did a remake for us. What it does is that it takes, the way the work is constructed is they take a scrape of a Twitter feed for a certain postcode, and then they just do they're just scraping it for a week on the run up to the exhibition, and then they do human processing. They decide what's interesting, and then they create these very beautiful graphic posters. And you can see the kind of range of things, and people, so you get things that really are very closely tied into the play. So a Newport made possible here, and there's actually, I haven't done a proper analysis of this image, which I normally do before I talk about things, but this was from Leeds Trinity. But you get this classic mix, as you do on Twitter, of very personal, very kind of personal, intimate experience with very carefully located, with things that really tie the work to the place. And people it's another way for people to feel like it's really for them. We've had some controversy surrounding these works, and this tour is throwing up some really interesting questions about freedom of expression, especially artist freedom of expression. So we had a complaint today from Sunderland, where the exhibition is currently on display, because we had a poster that said, I feel a bit uneasy even mentioning it actually, because it is a bit evil. It said, cricket bat, the new Rohypnol. And so this was a poster that the artist had put up, and because of the first conversations we'd had when these things were going up, we decided that we would just let them do their thing, and then if people complained, we'd deal with it. So we got a complaint about that today. And there's a whole set of then really interesting questions about what the public domain means and what art means in commercial spaces, because people are really used to seeing these spaces as promotional spaces. They're used to seeing Sky trying to sell the latest package there. So when these more kind of complex and messy and possibly unethical statements, things that seem to be promoting something that might make us feel uncomfortable, it raises lots of interesting questions. Another work that again was drawing on the locality and having people think about how they express their own identity locally was this work by Andy Deck called Crowsourcing. Obviously it's a play on the whole crowdsourcing thing, and Andy has been interested in the relationship between arts, media, technology and environmental collapse. So this, when people encounter it, it's quite light work. So what they do is they take a barcode scanner and they can scan these barcodes under the animals that you can see depicted in silhouettes here. And so if you scan, say, clam, you'll get what it does is that it displays a whole set of animal expressions that have been submitted via Twitter about that animal. And the project's been running for over a year, and it's international, so you get all things from all around the world. So clam, you get happy as a clam. Lion, lion's share. Pig, capitalist pig. So you get this whole kind of range of things that kind of, and from Andy's point of view, what he's saying is that we're exploring how, while the animals themselves are going extinct, our relationship with our animals are still embedded in our language. And you can see there's this wall where people can submit their own things, so we have a very kind of intimate physical space, and we're running workshops where people can create their own animals and their own animal expressions. And they're very full of local dialect, so people really start to see themselves reflected in the work. Okay, and I'm only going to show you the outside of this work. This is the outside of this work, which I'm not going to tell you about. It's called Genetic Moo. You can go and check it out if you like. But we rather liked the kind of obelisk quality of this. But this is the first show at Lee's Trinity. So for us, it's felt quite uneasy to us. We're not really used to working in commercial contexts. We're working in partnership with Land Security, Culture Code, who helped us to put the tour together. And the mutual benefit that we are exploring, and we're seeing what it feels like and whether it works and what it does to the art and whether it works for people. But obviously for us, we get what we think is great stuff out to many, many more people and start to understand what that means. And for them, they're interested in whether this improves people's experience of shopping, whether it extends the time they stay in their shopping centres, and whether it improves the family experience and all these kinds of things. Right, I'm now going to take 2 minutes to talk about one other project which is coming right from the other end. So this is a project called Play Your Place. It's an online game to draw, make and play the future of your locality. I've developed this project with Mary Flanagan, who's an American critical game artist and writer of a book called Critical Play, which I recommend strongly to you all. This project came out of residency at Metal in Southend, and a set of conversations between pissed off local residents and local developers and local government and local councillors about how to do better consultation around developments in the town and about what should happen where. And Mary and I had a mouthy moment and said, well, you can solve things if you just combine kind of what we know about participatory arts and what you know about open source software development and these modular processes and processes of openness and including diverse voices. That's the way to solve it. So they gave us a challenge, and we took the challenge and we came up with this project, which is essentially a multiplayer, multi-level platform game. We ran a whole series of public events in which we talked, played, had a kind of series of public interactions in which we talked to people about what the changes were that they'd like to see. And then spent quite a lot of time working out how you get these change conversations into the form of a game, how you share this process of thinking about how to make a game with people who are coming at it for the first time, and went through a lot of kind of prototype development for just how you get people involved in this, actually what turns out to be a very complex process, but in a way that's meaningful and pleasurable. Alongside this, we work with Soda, who develop educational and playful software, and created a free browser-based and mobile game that you can build with others and then play. It's published on GitHub, open source. Please, anyone who has the will, go and do great stuff with it. What it does is people are invited to imagine a change for their locality. They draw the elements, so it's all hand-drawn. They upload their drawings as backgrounds, obstacles, rewards, edit elements in the game to create a game story. I'm not going to show you a video sample of the game because I've overrun.
Do you have the URL?
localplay.org.uk. Sorry?
The GitHub you mentioned just before.
If you search for local play, you'll find it. At the end of each game, people can rank the change idea, local flavour, artistry and fun. And our plan, so what's next is a kind of set of, we're growing the game in each location that we're developing it. And our ambition is to create a global networked game artwork. So it's one that responds to and creates open data about place. And this is where we're kind of heading with it. And I'm harvesting ideas tonight, so thanks everyone. But something that responds to and creates open data about place. So the idea is that people's their messy lived experience starts to push back at some of the existing place data, which is used, I discovered after talking to local councillors, to a great degree to shape what happens in places, and also creates new artists. And the idea is that the future of our place is shaped by more and more diverse people, and I think we have a kind of shared sense that that's probably a good idea. Both using the kind of top-down stuff and the bottom-up stuff. And I'll end there.